All right. How we doing, everybody? Just want to, again, thank you guys on behalf of myself and the LATICRETE family for taking some time out of your coverage and experience to come spend a little time with us to hear about our new floor heat system. So before I get started, a little bit of housekeeping. Each one of you guys would have already gotten our takeaway brochures on the Strata heat system, and you also would have gotten registration cards that will allow you to register for a contest to win some free LATICRETE swag. Now, as I get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Dustin Brevet. I'm the Senior Product Manager for Membranes, Shower Systems, and Floor Heat here at LATICRETE. And with me today on stage is Mr. Jeremy Von Ruden, one of our technical sales reps, and he's going to walk us through this journey of installing the membrane-specific two-floor heat to the floor in this little fictitious shower bay we have here. So, what's new in floor heat? So we'll talk about that. You know, if you were familiar with last year's presentation or last year's launches, we launched a new spliceless heat cable, and we also launched a new version of our floor or heat membrane. So what's new this year? We have two new thermostats that we're going to be talking through. We have a touchscreen option, and then we have a touchpad option. But before I get started, give you guys a little bit of an overview of our floor heat system. It's comprised of three major components, or four major components. You have the membrane itself, which comes in both sheet and roll form. The roll is 161 square feet. The sheets are 8.6 square foot sheets. There's a 10-pack, and there's also a 50-pack available. Second, most importantly, is the thermostat. Like I talked about, we have our touch panel, and we have our touchpad LCD thermostats. I'm going to get into those in a little more detail as we move on throughout the presentation. Last but not least, we have our spliceless heat wire, which eliminates one of the most timely, time-consuming, and error-prone steps in the installation process. It comes in 120 and 240-volt configurations with a number of different linear lengths throughout the assortment, anywhere from 50 linear feet all the way up to 820 linear feet. Last, we have our thermal pack, which is a patented heat conducting additive. It gets added to the thin set and helps with conductivity and efficiency and output of the system as a whole. So let's get back to the new stats. What's new with these thermostats? So we previously had a Wi-Fi and a non-Wi-Fi version. Both of these are now going to be Wi-Fi compatible. So both will be Wi-Fi compatible. One will have a LCD screen. The other one will have an LED touch panel. Now, what's new about these, and I encourage everybody, come up, you can play with it after, or you can go over in our booth. We have a working thermostat in the booth. When you think about what's the most common, touch screen that you guys use on a daily basis, it's your tablet, it's your smartphone. Those screens are capacitive, meaning they work off the electric difference in your finger and the screen, and that's why you're able to easily navigate the touch screen, right? It's a seamless experience. We deal with it every day. Second would be the resistive. So that's when pressure is applied, and that's what our old screen was. It wasn't as responsive. It wasn't as quick. It's not the same experience or the same user experience that you'd have with your smartphone. So that's the major change. We are the industry's only capacitive touchscreen thermostat to date within the space. Second would be the same, but it's a touch panel option, very responsive but minimalistic in nature. Some people like a very simple, sleek look on the wall. This will be a nice, clean white plate, almost looks like a light switch, but there is the LCD or the LED lighting that would give you the look and appearance of the temperature in the room. You can also customize it to name the room. So you can see, 70 degrees living room, 85 degrees kitchen. You have the ability to cycle through all of that when dealing with it on the app. So both of these are going to be Wi-Fi compatible. One's an LCD touchscreen, the other one is an LED touch panel. One of the interesting features, so if you think about the COVID effect, right? Everybody's home. Everybody was home. They spent more time in their house. As they did so, they accumulated more and more devices. Those devices pull from Wi-Fi. Those devices degrade the Wi-Fi for all of the other instruments that are on it. This is going to have a reduced polling. It's going to poll louder, but it's going to poll less frequency, so it's going to be less of a draw on your overall Wi-Fi. So it's going to help you work more efficiently with both the thermostat and also the other devices in your home. We've instituted an easy setup. People are coming more and more familiar with QR codes. It's just as simple as scanning the QR code out of the box, and it instantly walks you through the setup process. So for the end user, for the installer, it's really simplifying one of the steps that you can get tripped up on. There's no registering, looking for serial numbers. It's as simple as taking out your smartphone, pulling out your camera, scanning the QR code, and then it walks you through the step-by-step process. So some of the uses, it's designed to work with the rest of our system, like I talked about. When you think about some of the main features, like I said, reduced Wi-Fi load, customizable LCD options, capacitive touchscreen, right? And also the QR code setup. This is on the LED version. On the LCD version, again, integral QR code setup. You have a customizable panel. You can include pictures. Whatever picture you want for the background, we have pre-canned background. You can upload your own photos directly through the app. It also has a capacitive touchscreen like I talked about, so familiar with your regular smartphones. Now, as I get into the rest of the system, Jeremy's going to get started on the installation process. So just to walk you guys through, we have HydroBand board here. Now, let's use a little creative liberty. We did put HydroBand board here so we could reuse the display, but HydroBand board can also act as a thermal barrier or a thermal break when you're applying it over concrete. So it's going to help reduce the heat loss down throughout the system. So there is a method to the madness. HydroBand board can be considered a very integral accessory into our floor heat system. So what Jeremy's going to do right now is start to even out and clean out the substrate, clean off the substrate, and then start to apply the thin set. So for this specific demo, we're using our 254 Platinum thin set. So this gets me over to the mat and the spliceless cable, which is two of the other components in the system. So the spliceless cable, if you think about it, with most cables where the hot and the cold lead, or the hot transitions to, or the cold transitions to hot, there used to be a chunky, or what we would call splice, where you'd have to cut through the mat and or cut through the subfloor. We've removed that from this specific product. So this spliceless cable has a singular diameter throughout the length of the run. So there's no more cutting into the subfloor. There's no more cutting into the mat itself. You don't have to also have bends in the throughout the length of the run, meaning you don't have to make a turn every 3 feet to break up the electrical current. You can keep one consistent flow throughout the length of the run. When you think about our mat, you guys, anybody here familiar with our Stratamat? Anybody have ever used Stratamat? I see some nods, I see some hands. Like Stratamat, we have a translucent finish, right? So why is that important? You're going to see in a minute when Jeremy is done spreading the thin set, you're able to press this down right onto the substrate, and because it is translucent in nature, you can see that you have full coverage, thus guaranteeing the integrity of the adhesion with the 254. Also, like Stratamat, we have our patented mortar hydration vents that allow you to use both modified and unmodified thin set for this specific installation. It also has a curing effect, it speeds up the curing process as it allows air to breathe into the system, making it a more efficient, more time efficient, more cost efficient installation from a labor perspective. When you think about our mats, we recommend, and you're going to see once he starts to spread the wire, we recommend a number of different spacing options with the wire itself. So we have 2-3-2 spacing, we have 3-peg spacing, and we have 4-peg spacing. Why is that important? The 3 and the 4-peg spacing are part of a UL certified installation. The 2-3-peg spacing is the minimal allowed based on the wattage output per square foot. So it's going to give you the best possible heat up or the best possible coverage. While not UL certified, it is certified to the fact of it gives you workable heat per square foot output per code. So as you can see, Jeremy's just working the membrane into the substrate with a grout float, just simply pressing it on, trying to get that thin set adhered to the woven part of the back of the mat. All right. So now that he's starting to work that in, at some point we're going to get to the wire, and we'll kind of walk you through how the wire and why the wire is weaved into the system. There we go. So the mats, like I said, come in 161 square feet. They come in both rolls and sheets. The wires come in 120 volt and 240 volt. And as you can see in the image there, if you look all the way to the left, that is an image of the splice. So that has really been just removed from the system, thus simplifying the installation process. We have wire spacing guides. We also have wire cheat sheets on our website that kind of allow you to help pre-plan the project so you know how much coverage you're going to get per square foot for any of the linear runs as you pre-plan a project. You may help you out? Right. You got it? Okay. So what you're going to see is once Jeremy starts to work it in, one of the you want me to take it?
From the splice.
Yep.
Splicer.
So we have a number of different labels on here. We've learned the hard way, right? We like to make this as intuitive as possible. On the roll itself, if you look at the tip of the wire, first I should have started with this. A certified electrician should always wind up installing the thermostat and also the wire itself, making the connection for the wire. Now what we did to simplify that is we've added voltage labels on both the wire as a label itself, and it's printed along the length of the run directly on the wire. This is going to allow for less mistakes, being you hook up a 240 to a 120 or a 120 to a 240, which could eventually fry the system, and is just more rework for the installer. Jamie, want to take that? In addition, we've marked where the cold lead or the transition is going to take place, so you know where to start burying the wire into the mat and thus putting thin set on by noting the 12-inch guide and then also the hard guide to say this is where the transition takes place. In addition to that, when you get halfway through the run of the wire, there's a halfway point, so you know that as you've started, you know where to go back, so you can make up the whole length of the run. Now, one tip here, for ease of installation, we recommend that you use a grout float. It's a great way to push the wire directly down into the mat, and it gets it to fit a lot easier with a lot less wear and tear on your fingers and joints. So to summarize, we like to think we have the most innovative, intuitive system in the industry. It's comprised of our 4 major components: the membrane, the thermostat, the wire, and the thermal pack. Anybody have any questions? Any questions? Nope. All right, well, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate you taking the time out. If you guys want to play with the new touchscreen, you can see how easy it is to cycle through. Thank you very much, guys.